Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jedimike7 Movie News YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jedimike7, and here are my co-host, Jay King. And today we're breaking down the second part of season 2 of Invincible. Yes, and this is a spoiler-free. I need to change the bottom. Spoiler-free, y'all. Yeah, I gotta edit that. See, we're still recording. Spoiler-free review of the second half. So I just want to ask just first, impressions of the second half of the season before we gotta get more in detail. Again, non-spoilerish. J. King, what are your thoughts in terms of the second half of season 2?
Jesus Christ. Season 2, part 2. The last 4 episodes that we just got were absolutely insane. It wasn't how do I describe this? I feel like the best way to describe this is just back to back craziness on multiple levels. The intergalactic type, the at home type, the everywhere else type. Like it's just one problem after another that Mark has to deal with, that either was set up within early this season or back during last season, that are now finally being addressed. And just saying where this season leaves you is just a lot more questions about the future of Mark Grayson and everybody he is involved with. Hopeful, but a lot of questions.
Mhm. Yeah, and I felt like with this, they really There's a reason why this is probably one of the best comic book adaptation shows currently, going on right now, aside from like the boys and stuff. Because again, at the end of the day, it keeps going back to development of these characters. And this is a very emotionally, just as the first part was very emotionally heavy, the second half it definitely is paying off to a lot of key moments that were built up. And I actually appreciate again how they're setting up for season 3 because it is confirmed for a season 3. But man,
Hmm.
just like this whole season is just kind of representation of aftermath of trauma bonding, making harsh decisions. How does I guess also unforgiveness how it can turn to bitterness, hate, and rage. Also deal with trauma where I don't want to be like my father, and then in moments where you feel like you're about to become your father, and you're like, oh my God, what have I done? You have those moments in here in the second half of season 2. But in terms again, we get to just the story where we left off is that after the insane fight of Omni-Man and Mark against the Viltrumites, now Mark is still on that planet with his now brother. This is from first part, so we can talk about it. Of his brother, uh, that we finally see get bring into the fold, who has a whole nother dynamic to Mark, and and also to the people that he interacts with when he comes back, to Earth and stuff. But yeah, one of the things I did like about was also the again Langstrom Agram, the villain played by Sterling K. Brown. He absolutely killed it. Definitely when you get to the finale,
Hmm.
definitely killed it. Like, because also you have to understand, like, even though this, villain have has interacted with a Invincible before. We never actually see him interact with this Invincible before. Other than like the first episode, right? And
Hmm.
because again, he experienced evil, alternate realities of Invincible and Omni Man and stuff like that. And again, going to the whole like the psychosis of him, like how like this is also part of the whole accident that happened that combined all his other realities into one, and he's thinking like, oh, these are my realities and everything. But either way, this Invincible needs to die, and because he did this to me, whatever. Let alone if
Hmm.
it's this Mark or another Mark, whatever. It's Invincible. He's the villain. But yeah, but what were your thoughts on Angstrom Lagrim? I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, Angstrom, Angstrom. Let's just say Angstrom. I'm not gonna even. I'm not gonna attempt.
It was Angstrom, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just can't think of it off the top of my head, but
yeah.
yeah. Again, really, really good villain. Again, as we said, he doesn't show up a lot. Like again, outside of the first episode for season 2, he barely showed up within the first half of season 2, and within the second half, it's really only like what 2 episodes, but within those 3 episodes, you see what kind of character he is and how he went from, as shown in the beginning, someone that wanted to use his multiversal like powers for good to somebody that just absolutely lost themselves. It's sort of turning what was a noble intent into a devious plan to exact vengeance on somebody, even though this version of that somebody is not like the other versions that the multiple other versions of him have dealt with. No, it's somebody that, again, there's a reason why this Mark Grayson is so much different than the other Mark Graysons that he encountered. And it's not just because of the fact that he didn't accept his father. It's all the other factors, his friends, his mom, and even with the inclusion of his brother now, there's just so much that makes this Mark Grayson different that that Angstrom can't understand. Like he wants to blame Mark so badly for everything, and it's like, A, this Mark didn't do that, and B, he's not like them. There are multiple good reasons to why he isn't like them, and that just has to do with how different everything can be within a multiverse, how one small change affects everything. And
Right.
just talking about the villain himself, it's like it's literally that back and forth conflict of like, the devil on your shoulder, Jackal and Hyde kind of situation where it's like, again, he's trying to do good, but then there's also the other side of him that's like destroy the person that destroyed our lives and the lives of other people in multiple different worlds and multiple different realities. No matter whether this one did it or not, it's literally that whole should we take out somebody before they become too dangerous kind of situation.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Again, and there's a lot more to be explored, and definitely in seasons to come with that
Mhm.
character. But I also want to talk about other characters, which is including the Guardians of the Globe, because
Yes.
they actually went through a lot of things I was not expecting
Uh-huh.
in this. And stuff, right? Because and just kind of just remind you like how pivotal, Invincible is a member of the Guardians of the Globe, but how much they know he might be a saving grace where hey, not be our get out of jail free card in situations
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, we can handle this, you
No,
know.
no, no.
Yeah, and what they do again, it's very shocking, but also again, it's also realistic too. Because again, I think it's
Mhm,
also just showing to like what happens when they are technically a team. What happens when that team is split apart and then situations arise like that's
mhm,
they can't control that, right? And regardless of the threat they're gonna have to face, they're gonna have to be able to defeat it as best they can. But with that comes with dramatic uh, consequences too. But again, yeah, I thought, well, how would you felt about the Guardians of the Globe, what they go into? Again, spoiler free, but
mhm.
like what they go into.
I think what they go through within this specifically this second half, the stuff that affects them and changes them, I think honestly will change them for the better. Like, just thinking about how everything goes and knowing what's going to come for them later on. Especially in the case of characters like, for example, Rex or, forgetting his name, but,
What's the name? Duplicate.
and Duplicate, but also her man, I'm forgetting his name. Immortal, but
Oh,
also for
Mortal.
Immortal.
Yes,
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 what especially for those characters, what comes for them and what they deal with within the season changes them honestly for the better, especially Rex, who, again, for many people who remember season 1 and again, so far within the show, has very much still been that kind of asshole character, but a lot happens that'll definitely change him. I think will finally make him mature, and I think will also make the Guardians of the Globe much stronger. I mean, heck, Black Samson said it himself. They're not a team; they're a family. Like they're dysfunctional, they're broken, but they look out for one another regardless of how everything goes.
yeah, and again, you talk about the family aspect because again, it's like with family comes with problems, and when you're like, hey, you know what, I just probably just need a break. I'm done.
Hmm.
Also, I got now see another positive thing going back to with Mark. I actually the relationship between him and Amber, which for me was one of the biggest cons of the first season. But I think
Hmm.
season two they definitely given away where now you start to understand where on her end where she's coming from, but also where he's coming from too. Because we're always in the standpoint of the protagonist, like, oh man, they just don't understand. Like the first season, I felt they didn't really do a good job of showing Amber's side in a way that we like, oh, we can like relate and like they instead of thinking, no, she's being selfish. But this is like, no, we actually feel for them, and I definitely feel for Amber in situations that she's been because she didn't ask for this,
Mhm.
But then, and also Invincible didn't ask for this. I mean, yeah, he took the job of being a hero and everything like that. But again, like I think also this show definitely does give a positive example about how to operate through difficult times in a relationship because I think in media, the way you do relationships is very or is not really a good good example. But even then, this is still like some of it like high school stuff. Like okay, like you guys complain about this. Come on, I mean I'm married, so but I was also in high school before, so I understand that
Mhm.
some of these problems are actually relatable. And but the way they did it was just in a unique way, where it's like I understand how they're operating relation and the struggles coming from both perspectives now. And they did a very good job where neither of them were seen like, oh, they're being selfish or they're being like, oh, you're not understanding the person from the other side. You absolutely understand where both of these guys are coming from, and you feel sorry for both of them.
Mhm.
So yeah, but yeah, what was your thoughts on that, J.
Yeah, I gotta agree. It's like when it came to season one and Amber, like I just remember so many people being like, "Man, she don't understand," or "She being a bee about it." But no, it's like season two. I think they definitely reworked, or at least finally like laid out laid it out in a way that you understand both of them. And it's especially also coming from the fact that they're not in high school anymore, they're in college, they're growing up, they're becoming adults. And so the stuff that they worried about a little too much back during high school, like how in high school some certain things could mean like the end of the world for you, but once you get older, you go to college, or even if you don't go to college, you get a job and you move on and you grow up in life. Some of those things don't matter, or in a sense of like some priorities change, or it's not as easy as it was back when you were 18, 19, back in high school and all that. It's not that easy. And especially in the case for them, it's like you understand now, like again, Amber just wants someone to be there for, especially with some stuff she goes through in this season, in the second half of this season. You definitely want Mark to be there for her, but you also understand that if Mark doesn't go out there and be invincible, either to take down this small petty crime or to help the Guardians of the Globe with an earth-shattering threat or deal with a Viltrumite threat of potential comings and all that, Earth would literally get obliterated or would be worse for wear, because it's like while they got a huge buck of superheroes, he's still probably growing into one of the strongest beings on their world. Like again, there's a reason why he took over so many other Earths and other universes, is because he's one of the strongest beings. So it's like you understand completely why both of them are going in the directions they are, to where it goes in the second half and where it ends up. It's like it's bittersweet, but you understand it on both ends. It's not just, oh, she don't understand, or oh, Mark, you ain't giving too much time for it. It's like, no, you understand why, because it's mature and they talk it out like adults.
Mhm. Yeah, and that was the thing where it felt mature, like where you come from a place of immaturity in high school. Now you come to the place of maturity as you're getting older, you're going through life experience and traumatic experiences. But yeah, but also again, you see some returning characters. You see, Omni-Man story continue. You see Alan the alien, coming back to and but some of those things are kind of spoilerish, to talk about.
Hmm.
But I'll just talk about some moments that happen now and just prepare you guys for. As like there's some crazy moments that happen here. Like
Hmm.
and even when Jake when I saw the episodes and stuff, like I already knew like yeah he's gonna flip out when this moment happened and stuff.
Yeah.
And again, avoid the internet if it don't leaks or anything. Please avoid the internet. If you read comics, you probably know, are they going to do this? And they do it. I'll just say they do it. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I
just
can't say, but again, they do the way they go into the multiverse aspect of it. Now they only scratched the surface because there was a moment in the comics that I wanted them to get to, which I thought based off the trailer that, oh, they're gonna do it. No, they're gonna save it for
No.
season 3. And actually,
Yes,
that's smart.
it's a tease. It's more of a tease and setup for things to come. It's like when it comes to the multiverse, it's really just in the turns of angstrom, but they tease what's to come. And again, for those who've read the comics and know, when it comes to Mark Grayson's side of things, you know where this is leading to and where it'll be within season 3, either the first half or the second half.
Right. Yeah, I thought, and you know, and yet, and there's like fun, like, you know, again, moments of when you're going to different universes, how that also how Angstrom, how he uses that in a way to, again, to, you know, to get to Mark, and or just as a combat style, just like opening portals. You think it's just like defense thing, like no, 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 it's like that. I thought they used that in a very unique way too. But again, this does set up the possibilities where, for one, where people think that they get tired of multiverse. I think they did it in a way that, again, it wasn't just fan service or anything. It actually
Hmm.
executed in terms of impacting the overall story. And yeah, again, not to spoil anything, but what they do with this multiverse thing in moments does put a smile on your face. But then it's like, okay, I'm glad they did that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, like, for me, when I saw what we're talking about, you saw I was out my chair. I was screaming.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, honestly,
Hmm.
you guys are going to enjoy season 2. But
Oh, and also, I think another. It's funny we didn't talk about Adam Eve at all.
Yeah, I think honestly, I mean, because again, a part of the second half, really one moment that's like spoilerish. Because I will say this, she has a bigger part in the first half than she does
Hmm.
in the second half. But I think, yeah,
Yeah, we
because
can agree with that, but there definitely are some, key moments that will start to get her away from what she dealt with in the first half, just
yes, I
by
agree. Yeah,
herself, and just by herself, and something that you'll see in the finale that we won't talk about.
right, right. And again, even in the way this show does dramatic experiences, but how like friendship can really help in those times of, traumatic experiences. I think they, again, they do definitely exemplify that in a very healthy way. And yeah, again, and there's not really any spoilers or anything, but again, there's just moments where I like how they're, these characters are relying on each other, and also when they have to make selfish decisions, they're being supported, and and having a level of reassurance, like, no, you're making the right decision because you need to, focus on you or whatever, or you're dealing with this thing, whatever. So um I definitely like what they did. But again, the second half, and I don't know how people are going to feel about the second half. Some people might feel duped, like they might expected more, but I do believe this is setting up. Again, it's just setting up for season 3, which is coming. Hopefully,
Hmm.
not as long as we waited for season 2, but yeah, it's definitely setting up for season 3, and I think in a very unique way. But it ended off in a very emotional way, but still to be
Hmm.
talked about. Like, not really major cliffhanger, I don't believe, but just like in a way, like, whoa, man, this is a huge weight here. You know?
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be in the same vein of like how people talked about the finale for season one, but I definitely think this is going to circulate around the internet and just people's discussions about how this all went. Not only the big key moments, but also just how it ends.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, I recommend this show 10 out of 10. Or again, I mean, I want to give a show perfect, and that's the be flaws here. But again, the writing on this show, definitely
Hmm.
a testament to Robert Kirkman, and the creators of the show, what they've done. Um, that yeah, they've done a fantastic job. Again, Amazon's killing it with this show, and I hope, again, this just sets the precedent for building off in terms of future seasons in the future. I mean, future seasons to come past season 3, because this is a
Hmm.
vast story. There's a lot of ways it can go, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, Jake, any last words?
Yeah, just again, it's Invincible season two, part two. There's going to be a lot of moments in there that are going to break the internet, and there's also going to be a lot of emotional moments, and there's a lot of setup for things to come. Again, if you don't read the comics, I mean, if you want to go ahead, I could recommend them, but I'd say if you don't, just know this is only just the beginning for a lot of stuff.
Right, right. But yeah. But other than that, season 2 is coming out, I believe, in March 18th.
Yeah, I think so.
18, all right, 18, whatever. But either way, we're watching. We've seen second half. Go watch it. Shout out to y'all. That's my wife in there. I'm gonna get her after I'm done recording. Anyway, peace, y'all. And remember, hold on. I gotta get it right. I got it.
Yeah.
Right time.
Wait,
And remember,
I'm